I am so excited to be here tonight at iWorks up in North Kansas City for the Kansas City Art Lounge. The Kansas City Art Lounge is all about having interviews with artists and getting familiar with what their purpose is, their inspiration, their passion, and just learning more about them. I think that if you're going to be a collector, it's way more fun if you have a personal relationship with the artist. So tonight's artist is Michele Renee Sherlock. And Michele started out in Kansas City and wended her, whatever that word is, her way around and is now back in Kansas City. So a lot of times when we do these interviews, we start with, where were you when you were like 12? Who were you at 12?
At 12, I was living in Ohio. That's where I was born and raised, in northeastern Ohio. And I was not into art at the time. My family was into the sciences and had the idea, like a lot of parents do, that I better go into computers or something where I was going to be able to take care of myself. And I went to college for that and hated every minute of business school.
Okay, there you go.
So, and then I migrated to New York City, which I had always wanted to live in New York, probably since I was 12.
Yep.
I would watch TV shows that took place in New York, and I just thought, I have to go there, I have to go there. So as soon as I got the opportunity, I went to New York City, and that's where the whole art thing just blossomed.
So what happened? What events? What happened that the art thing blossomed there?
Well, the art culture is huge there. There's some of the most famous museums in the world
right.
are in New York City, and so on the weekend I would just head to the museums. Every one of them I could find in New York City, and then I'd go down to Soho to the galleries and traveled and from New York to Europe and different places, and found museums and art galleries there, and met artists and met creative people, which I hadn't really been too exposed to in my earlier years in Ohio.
Right.
And so when I met those types of people, that's really kind of when my life started, because I met creative people. And I liked them.
I know. Creative people are way, way fun. So, hey, Todd is watching.
Oh, my brother. Hi,
your
Todd.
brother. And Leonard Ledoux, another wonderful artist who we've featured here before, is part of our community. It's great fun. Thanks for being here. So, but when did you decide that you could be an artist, that you'd soaked up all of this stuff?
That's a good question, because I thought I would spend my life looking at other people's art.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a nurse for 25 years, and I loved it. I was a pediatric nurse, and I ended up retiring. And it wasn't very long before I realized I need something to really do.
Sure.
I need to sink my teeth into something and have aspirations and something I'm working towards. And so I started drawing at home and just loved it. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time, actually, and another city that's just full of creatives. And
right.
A couple of my friends were artists. I'd gone to their gallery shows, and I asked the artist if she would give me lessons. And then I just started searching out abstract artists in Los Angeles that would teach me how to paint abstract art.
Huh. So when were you in Kansas?
I was in Kansas before Los Angeles. We raised our 3 boys in Lenexa, Kansas.
Okay.
And so we were here for about 25 years. And then once our kids got up and out of the house and went to college, then my husband and I wanted to go back to the city. And so we just decided on Los Angeles, because we had lived in New York City and Chicago. So we decided we'd try the West Coast and see what it was like out there.
So then when you were a nurse, it was in the 25 years when you were raising kids?
Yes. Yes.
Crazy time.
Yes.
Crazy time.
Yes.
So you started painting. When did you figure out what your style was? Who you were as Michele?
So when I went out, I was extremely lucky to meet an international award-winning abstract artist named Clara Berta. She's one of my great friends. Hi, Clara.
Good. Yes.
And you know, we just hit it off and we got along. And you know, she started exploring with me, and she's an abstract artist, and so she was trying to teach me how to let loose. I was very tight when I started, and I wanted to draw and maybe do landscapes or sunsets or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kept working with me every week that I had to loosen up because it was good for me. She thought I was too uptight. Well, you know, I'm a nurse in Los Angeles,
Right.
you know, it's like a tense, you know.
Right.
And she's like, we have got to loosen you up. So she would have me throwing paint on the canvas and closing my eyes and throwing it and just anything. And then once she got me loosened up, then she started working with me on color, composition, layering, and her different techniques that she used.
Love it.
Yeah.
And then the last few interviews that we've done have been about energy. Energy has been a really important part of when we talked with BJ, who did the wind chimes and all about the energy of natural substances. And then we did Eugenia Ortiz, and her idea is all about the energy almost in the canvas and in the paint so you also do that energy thing. Tell me.
So I
How
feel
does
like,
it-
you know, you start with a flat white surface and you really need to bring it to life. And the way you do that is to have like a loose perspective. Like in this painting, you have the darker colors in the back, and then you come forward to the lighter colors, which makes them pop. So it gives you kind of a perspective. And then throwing the paint up here will give you a sense of movement. I like to make the canvas come alive. I like a lot of color, and I don't want my art to just mix in with the environment as much as I like it to make a statement and
All right.
pop.
Mm-hmm. So even though a lot of what you do is kind of spontaneous, sort of, you've given freedom to the paint, but still you have it's not totally just I'm going to throw some paint and see what happens.
No, like we were just talking a moment ago
Right.
about a painting that I'm working on at home right now that I'm really excited about. And I completely composed the painting prior to starting. So I decide on how I'm going to mix my colors. That's what I love about abstract is that I don't have to try to make skin tone or
Right.
keep control to my colors. I can make up the colors that I like and I think are visually appealing together. So I decided on my colors, I decided on the composition of the painting. And then once you start, because I use a looser paint, I don't use a hard body paint, it's going to flow.
Okay.
And so then that's where the magic happens.
Right.
Because it's out of your control for the most part, you know, where it flows to. So there's some technique, but then there's some,
Sure.
let's see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
But interesting that it's well within a plan you had.
It is within, I've got it pretty much composed before I start, yeah.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as I recall, you talked about using a specific kind of paint.
I use Nova Color paint, and it's made in Culver City, California, and I found out about it from my mentor, Clara, and she let me practice with it, and it's a pourable paint. It's not mixed, it's pre-mixed with a medium. All their paints are made this way, and they're only made there, and they're a high-end, high-quality paint company right here in the United States. It's all made in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's non-toxic, low toxicity paint. And so I use really only that at this point, and then sometimes I mix it with water.
Huh. And it just, wonderful, wonderful results.
Thank you.
So let's look at another one that you brought that is also a delight, but very different from this one. Okay, we're going to do this now. hoping nobody gets hurt, that I don't knock over any lights or the computer. I think we did it. You have that one up. It's a whole different look.
Yes.
So, talk about the plan you had when you started this.
Okay, so I wanted a yellow-green because I really like to, even though I'm doing abstract, I want to present a lot of different ideas to clients about what they can have in their home and what abstract art can look like in many different forms. So I switch up the color, and so I wanted a yellow-green, one of my favorite colors. I love it. And what I did in this one was, it almost looks like a watercolor up here.
It does.
Because if you put the Novacolor paint in and you take the opposite end of the brush and you just stir it very easily, these clumps stay together. And then when you throw it on there, you'll get this. So I took the yellow and the green paint, but then I took all different colors and mixed them in and then kind of threw it on there. And these little dots that settled up here, that's your happy result from throwing paint. Like,
Right.
I didn't plan that part out.
Right.
But when you see it, you're like,
It's amazing. It looks like, what is that, Aurora Borealis or something, or
yeah, I
the
didn't
Northern
think
Lights.
of that, but yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
And then when you see it up close, there's so much texture. On the screen it looks like, okay, it's just mostly yellow and green. But when you get up close to it, there are tiny little dots and tiny little lines and so much texture in it. It's a piece that you're going to need to see up close and personal to really enjoy. So where do you have anything in mind that you're doing that's different? Like you mentioned, you're doing something on the piece that you're doing.
I do have something in mind. I always have a lot of ideas in mind.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I have inspiration from an artist. He's actually a local artist that he takes his canvases. So if you lay canvases on the floor loose, like Helen Frankenthaler did, she used dyes. I use acrylic paint. But if you saturate it with paint, not thinking, now this technique, you're not thinking about color matching, you're not thinking about color theory, you're just throwing it on there. And then you can put a substrate on there that will harden it, and you can make it go in and out, in and out. And I want to have a wooden box built and have lights put behind and then do holes, and so the light will
Wow.
I know. I know.
What?
I'm excited.
Fun.
Yeah. So it's a different way. I noticed that people like to see an artist that does, different techniques and in composition to each other. So if you have a show, a lot of times they will like maybe even a sculpture on a pedestal, or like what I just talked about,
right,
along with paintings. It makes it like the show have more texture to it.
Right.
And it adds a lot of interest, and it also, it stimulates the artist to try new things. You always
Right.
want to be trying new things.
So a lot of times people will say you need a body of work so that if someone looks at it, they can tell that it's your work. Speak about your thoughts on that.
Well, I understand that, because when I look at someone else's work, like Helen Frankenthaler, I know exactly who it is when I see it, and I do like that. But through the years, even famous artists, change
Right.
over the years. And so you do want to change and evolve as you learn and new techniques. But the body of work, I agree, it has to be similar, but that doesn't mean it can't have some variations.
Evolution.
As long as it looks like a cohesive, group
Right.
when it's together.
Well, and then we do talk about artists and having the such and such era and the such and such era. So
Yeah. Well, I'm only in my first era. With art anyways.
It's going to be way fun to see where you go with all of your eras. And speaking of shows, we're way excited that we're going to be in the Crossroads on First Friday, October 1st, on the corner of 20th and Grand, outside in the Firestone building. So if you're out and about on First Fridays, and I think I love First Friday in the Crossroads, but I think sometimes that people hesitate to go down there because they just don't want to just walk around and not have some ideas in mind. So we would love to have you join us at the Firestone building on October 1st, between about 5 and 8. So there's going to be music. There's going to be an opportunity, first of all, to see this great building. The Firestone building has been around forever and is a treasure for Kansas City. And the big neon F is going to be in the lobby, and so it's a great photo op. I'm just saying, all sorts of reasons you should come and tag if you're out and about in Kansas City. And then going upstairs to Ashley's salon up on the second floor, and it's so fun because these stairs are marble stairs that have just worn away with years of walking on them. So that is great fun. We're looking forward to having you join us then.
Thank you.
And then another opportunity that you will have to see a number of artists, I'm going to give you a chance to drink and think,
Okay.
is on October 9th here at iWorks. We have a show up now called It's All About the Blues, dealing with blues color and blues, the music, and blues, the funk that some of us get in sometimes. So it's been a great show. We've put up some more new pieces. So the final closeout reception is going to be on October 9th. And North Kansas City has had a tradition in the past of having second Saturdays. So we're trying to get that second Saturday theme and idea going again. So put those dates on your calendar also. There will be music and a chance to visit with a lot of the artists that you have met through these conversations. So again, we are really looking forward to doing that. So do you, we have some large pieces here, and we were just trying to figure out how to get our 48 by 48 inch piece in our vehicles to get it down to the show on October 1st. So the large pieces are where you shine, or where you...
Well, it gives you more room to work with. So I feel like the larger the canvas, the more you can experiment with the composition and the color. I just feel like you have more room to get more done. And so I want to go larger. I have a piece at home that's probably 4 feet by 7 feet, which of course never leaves the house because I don't have any way to get it out of there. But I'd like to go really large. Larger and larger, as we're renovating my studio right now, and so I'm going to have more space to store larger pieces. But I also like to work with corporate clients. So so office buildings, restaurants. I do commissions, apartment buildings, lobbies, and they want very large art, and so that's a way to provide that for those clients. They need those big pieces for the lobbies and
Leonard, can we use your truck? Just saying. He has some great large pieces and manages to get them where he is going. So you raised 3 boys. Do any of your boys show any interest in art?
Well, no.
But of course you really weren't doing it until
not visual art, but my son Gage, he's my oldest son, he plays the guitar magnificently. He is amazing. He writes his own music, composes his own music. He's been in several bands in the area and jams with his friends and goes to a lot of musical shows.
And he lives here in town?
He lives in Lenexa.
We'll have to hook up
And
with
then
him.
I have my son Owen, who he played instruments when he was in school, and then my son Evan, who played instruments in school, but they more went the sports route, and they couldn't do both. So
now that I don't even know if your parents are still alive or not, but if they are, what do they think about this and what you are doing?
Well, my father passed away, and my mom, she has a lot of my art. She always wants to buy it all.
Wonderful. Mom, we love you.
And yeah, it's nice. She's very complimentary. I didn't really have artists in my family except for a cousin, Donald, who I just ordered a piece and should be in the mail coming to me. And he does actual landscape oil painting, and he's a brilliant painter. So, and then I have a cousin in California, my husband's cousin actually, Connie, that does glass work, amazing glass work. So I have, here and there
Right.
we have artists. And then my husband, Greg, he is an architect, a designer, and he does watercolor, photography, painting. So he was a big influence because every time we would travel, we would pick out museums and architectural sites to go to.
Oh, sure.
So I would not have known the architectural sites or
Right.
really knew anything about architecture.
Right.
So when I met him, we were in New York City, and he taught me about architecture and design. And so that's a nice compliment, because when we travel together, we just want to head right to the city and right to the museums.
Sure. And Greg says, that's amazing. I get to see this one every day. I don't know which one. The 48 by 48 that you can't get out of the house.
Oh,
I don't know if that's the one. Melanie says, I wish it was closer. Leonard says, yes, we can borrow his truck.
Oh, good, Leonard. Thank you.
Melanie.
Melanie's my sister in New York.
Oh, wonderful.
Melanie actually has creativity.
She does say.
I'm
you
sorry,
have a
Melanie.
talented sister named
She
Melanie.
is talented. She has painted, and she's done hook rugs, and she can knit, and I believe crochet. I'm not sure, but she is a teacher, and she's very busy, and she does a lot of hiking and traveling. So she doesn't sit still long enough
Oh my
to
goodness.
do
no.
as much artwork as I'd like her to do, but she definitely has the potential. Hopefully when she retires, she'll have more time to tap into her creative.
And Kathy
So-
Mellenbacher, is it?
Oh,
Kathy?
yeah.
Kansas City road trip sounds fun. Hi, Michelle. Best of luck. Love the painting. It's fun to catch up with friends.
Oh, yeah, that's so sweet. Thank you, Kathy. What would we do without Facebook?
I know it. Yeah. Love it. Oh, Tanis loves hearing about your process. The piece is full of beautiful movement and color. Wow, you do great work. Tammy Harold is listening.
Hi, Tammy. That's my sister. She lives
Great.
in Ohio,
So you're a family of girls.
and we have one boy.
I'm sorry.
So, Todd.
I'm sorry. Oh, that's right, Todd.
Yeah, Todd.
I'm sorry, Todd.
lives
You had
in,
to grow up in that family of.
Yeah, right.
It couldn't have been good.
Yeah. We don't know what we do without Todd. He listens to all our problems.
Good. Good.
But he's a great brother. He's the youngest, and he's got 3 girls above him. But he's a wonderful brother that is very supportive to all us girls, and we all get along. We consider ourselves so lucky.
Yeah, you do hear stories, don't you?
Todd's been supportive of my art in that he's a part of a tennis league and also a mission trip organization. And he raises funds to bring school supplies to Tijuana. And then he also is on the board at his tennis club, and he runs a 4th of July tournament. And so he allows me to bring art and put it up for auction.
Sure.
And he's also bought some of my work, so he's been a big supporter. And some of his friends in California, we just threw him a 50th birthday party out in San Diego.
Love San Diego.
And his friend came over, and she said, Todd, you have my artwork. Go get my artwork. He had held it because of COVID.
Oh, sure.
And so I was able to see her unwrap the artwork and
that's
talk
fun.
about it and where
Yeah.
she was going to put it. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I have a lot of artwork around the country, which is kind of neat.
You bet it is.
Because I also sell my art on Saatchi Art online.
Yes.
And I got an order recently that went to New York City, and then the one before that went to San Francisco. So it's kind of exciting.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah, it's
You're
fun
all
just to think.
You bet.
you know, where it goes.
Especially when you are really new at this.
Yeah, I was so fortunate to meet my mentor and to have access to. I had 3 different instructors in Los Angeles that I, graciously gave of their time, even though they were busy artists, to help me learn and mentor me and support me. So, yeah.
Great story. We are way glad you're back in Kansas City. And Tanis, I'm way glad you introduced us so
Thank
that we
you,
could,
Tanis.
so that we could enjoy each other and share this work. Again, you can meet Michele and chat with her and see more of her pieces on October 1st, first Friday at the Firestone Building. It's kind of on the east side of the craziness happy craziness that is First Friday. Across the street is Rock Hill Grill, a great place to have dinner. Novel is right there around the corner. And wait, do you think these places are going to pay me for doing these plugs?
I don't know.
The food trucks are right across the street, so it's just a fun location. You'll hear Zach Garland Foster, who is a young musician in the city, playing outside. So do come and join us. And then we'll keep reminding you that on October 9th, we'll be doing the closing reception for the All About the Blues show, and Michele's works will be there too, and you'll get a chance to visit with just a lot of the artists. So again, thanks so much. We love building this community and having artists hang out.
Thank you, Jan.
Oh, my
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
It was great fun. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.